Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the closing keynote of ISTE 2013. Coming to you live from the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in San Antonio, Texas, I am still your announcer, Sheila Sheeler. And now, please welcome your hosts for ISTE 2013, ISTE President Keisha Ray and CEO Brian Lewis.
Darren Nemi, everybody, check it out. They sold out all their CDs.
Hey. I'm their new manager.
Right? No, we were thanking them this morning because, we have this idea of having a house band, and you never know how it's going to work out, and we are just so incredibly grateful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, we're back. Oh, they didn't get it. Is that an old show?
We're back.
Oh,
yeah.
That's my Southern came out.
Oh, that was one of those scary flicks.
It's true.
Yeah.
Wow, here we are again after another incredible day. What a week we've had.
It has been pretty amazing. Every day's a little different. I'm sure that we've all learned something we can take back, and I know I have. Right?
Every day's a little different.
Every day's a little different here.
Oh,
I've learned something different every day.
No, it's just sinking in.
If we seem like we're turning into siblings, you're right. It's happening.
Let's take a peek
right
at some
before
of
your very eyes.
Right before it. Soon we'll be identical twins. Let's take a peek at some of the highlights from ISTE 2013. Sheila, can you cue it up?
Keisha.
Bienvenidos a San Antonio.
Learning from each other is really what the big part of this show is all about.
Sometimes it explodes everywhere. Come on. And you're trying to steal the pigeons.
So we have tools like this proliferating all around us, and it's a great way of keeping all these ideas and building webs of association.
I was able to connect with one of the people from Israel, and me being from Fort Worth, Texas, opposite sides of the world.
I said massively multiplayer thumb wrestling. You were thinking, what the hell is she talking about? That sounds crazy.
You just feel empowered because you come up with different solutions and answers to problems, and you know that you're not alone. So it's just been a wonderful experience.
Through everything that we do, we create another great century of knowledge in the years to come.
How we can best utilize these tools that we have for engagement of our students, not only the students though, but for the teachers as well.
With a new logo, this one is like goes with the trends that we are living today.
The conference is my favorite thing to do all year. I look forward to it. I'll be looking forward to it starting next week.
That soon? You gonna get some sleep
okay,
first?
Maybe.
Okay,
August.
all
right. But I think this year has been a banner year. I know I'm excited to head back to my home district of Nashville, Tennessee. I know you've never heard of that before, but to share with them what I've learned this week. It took so many people to make this conference a success, from volunteers to presenters to staff to our partners and exhibitors to the great city of San Antonio. A big, big, big thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Woo! So what are we looking like on the social media front?
The numbers are pretty big here, so hold on to this. So over the course of the conference, ISTE attendees created more than 520,000 pieces of content on the topic of ISTE 13, including more than 47,000 tweets using the ISTE 13 hashtag. Wow, right? We had almost 14,000 downloads and activations of the conference app, with 169,000 opens and 17,000 hours of combined use.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
That's
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
We're very, very happy.
That's awesome. So let me take a moment to do a shout out to the guest bloggers. They have been amazing. Many, many thanks to Stephen Anderson, Lisa Butler, Heather Davis, Wes Fryer, and Jessica Allen for helping make the ISTE Connects blog vibrant, buzzing, and active throughout the conference.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So yesterday we asked you all to come up with a new word to describe how being at the conference makes everyone feel both a little fired up and a little wiped out. We had a lot of ideas shared, and so here are our top 3. You ready? Okay, so the number 3 word was FIWI, fired up and wiped out, by Kate Moore. Cool. Number 2, submitted by several people, but we're going to credit the first person to tweet it, was ISTE fried. Thanks. Right? ISTE
like
fried.
Southern fried.
Southern fried, yeah. ISTE Southern fried. Thanks to Sandy Brand. And the number 1 word used to describe being fired up and wiped out is invigorosted. I'm going to find that in Wikipedia next week. By Pam Shoemaker. Congratulations, Pam, on your winning submission. Now, I don't know what we didn't think this through. I don't know what Pam wins. But we'll think of something, Pam, and we'll track you down. Maybe one of our David Letterman double eraser pencils. I don't know.
Or more.
Or more.
Or more.
Or maybe a few. Okay, so speaking of congratulations, the ISTE Central staff drew the raffle winner at 1:30 today, and we have our name for the all-expense-paid trip to ISTE 2014 next year in Atlanta. Drum roll, please.
And the winner is Katie Vilmer. Katie
here?
Vilmer.
Congratulations, Katie.
All right. Glad you'll be joining us in Atlanta next year, Katie. But it's not over yet, is it? We have yet another memorable program for you this afternoon.
Adam Bellow. You guys say
Bellow.
more? Who's here for Adam Bellow, right?
Adam. Adam. He's always high energy. I can't wait. Well, Brian, that's my cue. I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay. See you in a few. Okay, so we're going to do something real quick before we get to Adam. I'm calling it a Speed Ignite panel. We'll give this a shot. So I have the privilege of bringing out 3 distinguished leaders who are helping to shape the future of education. And while they're each based in D.C., the impacts of their efforts are felt far beyond that. We're genuinely and sincerely honored that they're here with us this afternoon. Please welcome to the stage Richard Culotta, Acting Director of the Office of Education Technology at the U.S. Department of Education, FCC Commissioner Jessica Rosenworcel, and Governor Bob Wise, President of the Alliance for Excellent Education. Sir, welcome. Governor, have a seat. So what we thought we'd do is take a minute to, in this Speed Ignite panel, to ask each of our friends here to share a couple of things that they're working on that they would like to have us all know about. And we're going to start with Richard.
All right. Well, thanks. I'm excited to be here. So the thing I'm working on that I think I'm most excited about is something called Connect Ed. Anybody who heard the President's announcement about Connect Ed? Yeah. Thank you. So this is a great project that's keeping us all very busy. The President has said he wants to have broadband connectivity to all classrooms, not just to the front office of the school, but to the classrooms where students and teachers are in 5 years. It's a very, very exciting challenge, and we're working very hard to do it. It's going to be a lot of partnerships with a lot of people. But I want to just talk about a couple pieces of it. So one is getting the connectivity in place, and you'll hear more about that, right? The other piece is making sure that there are devices and some ways that we're rethinking some of the procurement pieces to help make that easier. But the other piece that's really important is how are we making sure teachers are feeling prepared and sort of supported as they transition to teaching in connected environments. Now, there's a lot of work that we're going to need to do that. It'll come from lots of different organizations like ISTE and others. But one thing that we're going to do at the Department of Education that will help along the way is something called Connected Educator Month. Now, we did Connected Educator Month as a pilot last year and had nearly 100,000 hours of professional development completed online. And the idea of Connected Educator Month is that this is opportunities for teachers to interact and connect with other teachers to share what they're doing and what works online. And the thought is here, Brian, you know, I used to be a teacher. I was a Spanish teacher, right? And one of the things that was always interesting to me in my professional development is we'd walk into the cafeteria and we'd sit down and we'd have some donuts and orange juice, right? And somebody would come in and they would speak to me for a while. And I thought, you know, I'm the only Spanish teacher in the building. And as much as I, you know, love that history teacher across the hall and the lady that taught English down the hall, none of what they were saying really helped me teach past subjunctive better, right? Or none of what they were doing helped me use, you know, the devices, mobile devices, teach Spanish better. But there were other teachers I knew at that moment all across the country that knew exactly what they were doing and were way smarter than I was. And so what we want to do is say, how can we have an opportunity for teachers to connect virtually and share that great information with teachers like them and not have drive-by training, but have training that then connects, that those connections last ongoing.
Absolutely.
So we're really excited about it, but we need your help. We need to make sure you're coming with your schools and saying, come participate in Connected Educator Month, host some sessions. It's open for everybody to join in and create sessions and ideas, and really excited about it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Commissioner, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about something that fits in really nicely with ConnectEd. I want to talk about the nation's largest education technology program. And that's the E-Rate, which is run out of the Federal Communications Commission, where I have the privilege to work. The E-Rate was started back with the Telecommunications Act of 1996. And it's been fabulously successful at making sure schools around this country are connected to the internet. But you know what? Connection is no longer what matters. It's capacity. And just like in my day, you wouldn't think of being a teacher if you didn't have a blackboard. Now, I don't think any teacher should be in the classroom without broadband. So what I want to do... I like that energy. What I want to do at the Federal Communications Commission, with the help of my colleagues and with the help of people like you, is take that E-Rate program to the next level, reboot and reinvigorate it, and make sure there's more opportunity for every student in every school, no matter who they are, they live.
Fantastic. Governor, great to have you here.
Well, good to be here, Brian. I want to implement what they're talking about. And so what the Alliance for Excellent Education is working on, and we greatly appreciate all the help that ISTE has been, is implementing is truly putting into place the challenges for the next 2 years. Think about what we've been talking about for the last several days here. In the next 24 months, the next 2 years, everyone in this hall is going to have to implement higher standards, college and career ready, in every state. Plus, now we've got the role of constrained state budgets and the exploding role of technology. So we've got higher standards to reach all children. And as one of my board members said to me, I get it now, without technology and blended learning, we don't reach college and career ready. And so we've launched Project 24, which is a set of tools. If you go to the Alliance for Excellent Education website, Project 24, Digital Learning, set of tools for every school district to go through a planning process for how you implement digital learning to reach your learning goals. And the goal here is to not only make more informed consumers, but also so that we're not just purchasing and then planning, we're planning and then purchasing. And the important thing, Brian, is that this then dovetails with the greater connectivity, the ConnectEd, because what we know is this, that in the next 2 years, every one of the 15,000 school districts, every one of the 100,000 schools in our country will have to make critical decisions about digital learning, the effective application of technology, various aspects of technology to improve learning outcomes. And I hope that everyone here, if your district, and we have 900 districts that are now participating, about 12 million students, but if your district's not participating or maybe not as enthusiastically, if you push for it or push for it in your school, and it's all free, just download it from our website in the next 24 months, working with what the federal government's doing, what every state government's doing, and particularly ISTE, I think we can really make a difference in this country.
Absolutely. Thank you. As I said, yeah. So you've all been engaged in the conference in different ways the last day or two or three, and I'm just curious if you have any other observations through your interactions with our participants or any sort of ideas or thoughts from where you sit that you wanted to share with our colleagues.
Well, I will just tell you that this is a great opportunity. I have had some wonderful feedback from all of the sessions and everything I've participated in that I'm going to take back, and we're going to definitely look at ways that we can help support teachers better, because that's one of the things I most look forward to about this event. Let me actually tell you something that happened last year from similar conversations. Right. So last year, I did the same thing. As I was walking around, I listened and I was trying to say, how can we help along the way? And one of the pieces of feedback that came up over and over again was, it is really hard to find content. We spend lots of time, you can do a Google search, but then it's hard to see if it's aligned to particular standards. There's all this great free content out there, but you have to go to 18 zillion different portals to try to search for it. Is there any way to make it easier? Especially when we're talking about personalizing learning. So now I don't have to just find one set of content. I got to find content for all different students. What can we do? So we went back and started working on a cool project called Learning Registry, which is a way to try to get, it's sort of like the Human Genome Project for digital content, right? Identify and tag all the great learning content we can find and put it in an open database that anybody can tap into. And so we've been working on that over the year, and just the other day, 2 days ago, right in time for ISTE, we had some great developers that built a website. It's still beta, but you can go in and actually start to see some of the hundreds of thousands of resources that we've been collecting from all around the country. So if you have a chance to, I would love for you to go to free.ed.gov, free.ed.gov, take a look, give us your feedback, see if that helps find good content. If there's content we're missing, let us know. If there's things that we can do to help make it easier for you to find excellent free digital resources, please let us know, and we'll be continuing to work on that.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Governor? Commissioner?
Commissioner.
Let's see. First of all, I love the energy that I felt here at ISTE. It's so exciting. And in front of so many teachers, I want to say this. It's summer, but I want to give you some homework. I want you to get involved. Over the course of the next few months, the Federal Communications Commission will start up a big proceeding to make sure that we can take the E-rate program to the next level. Make sure we can bring more connectivity and capacity to schools across this country, and make sure that we can make the E-rate process with all of its forms a lot simpler for educators. And it's been my experience that you shouldn't leave things to people in Washington. And I think decisions without you are going to be decisions against you. I want you to participate. Let us know how you've used the program to date and how you think we can take it to the next level.
Thank you so much. Governor.
So let me say what, actually you said it already. I was going to say what federal officials can't say, but Commissioner, I'm very impressed. Thank you. So I'm going to say this is an unprecedented time to advance the cause of effective technology for education. Think what's happening right now. Connect Ed. We had the President of the United States last month in Mooresville, North Carolina, talking about and putting forward the goal of 99% of students connected in a certain period of time. We have the Federal Communications Commission looking like they're getting ready to take a look at the E-rate and how do we improve connectivity. So that's two important things, and we're about ready to see an important commission, the LEAD commission, come out. And when that report comes out, my guess is it's going to say a lot of what's being said right here. So all of a sudden we've got momentum that we haven't seen in a number of years, plus the demand for higher standards, plus the exploding technology, plus people saying, look, we know we've got a big job ahead of us, we want to do it, but we need to make sure we have the technology to reach all students. It's unprecedented. So that's why, like the Commissioner says and like Richard says, this is a time to get involved. So if I could plug one of the things you're doing, Brian, ISTE's got a petition. If you haven't signed it yet, make sure you do. And there'll be a number of other initiatives underway that I know ISTE and the Alliance and a bunch of other organizations are working on. We can make a real difference in the next few months.
Thank you, Governor.
And one other thing I would say, if you want a quick action that you can do, I'm going to give homework. If she can give homework, I'm going to try to give homework too, right? So one of the things that's really helpful is we actually need some good data about what the bandwidth situation is across the country, right? So it's hard when, and I've told this story where we had some people that said, well, we'll go out and try to find what the connectivity rates are to give you and to be able to take back to folks like the Commissioner and the Senate. And so they call around and they say, well, how's your internet feeling today? And they call the school office and the school will be like, well, it feels slow. They're like, well, that's nice, but you may have heard about kind of the budget situations that we're dealing with in D.C. And so for me to go back to the Senate and to the House and say, it feels slow, can we get some money for that? Right. That doesn't help very much. So if you can go back, there is a speed test that you can do. It's schoolspeedtest.org. From your school, it takes just a second and helps actually figure out what the bandwidth situation is around the country. We need more data, so please go do it. But I want to share one piece of data that we've gotten already. And that is that if you break out the use of bandwidth by quartile, okay, so what I mean by that is if you say the low bandwidth, so very small pipe, you find that a very small percent of teachers actually use it. If you go up to a medium set of, pipe, a medium bandwidth, more teachers use it. If you have what we consider the basic amount, which is 100K per student, if you have basic amount like that in your building, in the classroom, almost 100% across the board utilization of that pipe. So it should be obvious, but what it tells us is if anybody ever says, well, look, we're going to come and get that connectivity in once the teachers start to use it, right? When they use it, then we'll come and do it. This says it's the other way around. This says when it's not good enough to use, teachers aren't going to use it because they don't want to wait 5 minutes for a little page to load. But when there's enough bandwidth to actually load, the teachers use it across the board. And so let's make sure we're carrying that message around, that we have to get the connectivity first, and that enables all the great things that you're doing.
All right. I think we pulled off the speed panel, huh? Woo. This is an example of the kind of relationships that we love to work with in D.C. and across the country. We appreciate our working relationships with all of you, and we'll look forward to keeping it going. Good. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
You're back.
It's so long. Good.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, it really was. ISTE is so fortunate to have such amazing partners, especially with outstanding leaders like
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love working with them.
So now we're pleased to introduce the keynote we know you have been looking forward to all week long. In fact, we understand the line started forming yesterday around dinner time. Where's the picture? Sean Junkins wanted to make sure he got the best seat. Sean, are you up here on the front row?
Or is it?
No? That's disappointing. Our closing keynote speaker has been a longtime member of the ISTE learning community. Adam Bellow is likely familiar to you all as the founder and president of Educator and Educator, free web tools for helping students and teachers discover the best resources to enhance learning in and out of the classroom. And he's been one of our most popular presenters here at the ISTE conference for the past few years.
Adam's a dedicated educator who is passionate about changing the world of learning and teaching. He began his education career as an assistant English teacher at a high school for students with learning disabilities. After 6 years in the classroom, he served as a technology training specialist and then as a director of educational technology for 18 schools across the Northeast.
He recently co-authored the book Untangling the Web, which takes an in-depth look at essential web tools for the classroom. Please join us in welcoming our friend Adam Bellow.
Hi. Wow. Thank you guys so very much. I'm going to give this a kiss before we go because it's going to need it. All right, here we go. So let's get it started. Okay, Glass. Start ISTE 13 keynote. All right. Hi. I am incredibly excited to be here, especially amongst all these passionate, amazing educators. I've decided to call the talk something that you don't need, an invitation to change the world, because that is something that you're all doing already. So you are already invited. You're here. I originally was going to call it Flipped Classroom Innovative One-to-One Design Thinking 2.0, a virtual MOOC to facilitate your own lifelong blended learning makerspace aligned to the 21st century Common Core standards for teaching the whole child good digital citizenship through authentic mobile assessment. Maybe I should have gone with that one. But anyway, I decided it was a little too wordy to tweet that one. Over 140 characters, sorry guys. If you've been playing Buzzword Bingo, by the way, you would have all scored already. 3 slides in, not bad. Good. So anyway, this is not a one-way street. It is not a one-way conversation. You are amazing, amazing educators and have experiences that are different, better, and more interesting than anything that I will have to say by myself. So you don't need to have an invitation to do it. Keep calm, tweet on. You already know the hashtag ISTE13. I promise you within 2 hours I will start responding to all of you. Sorry about that. You should know a little bit about who stands before you. I know many of you, but there are many people I haven't had the opportunity and pleasure to meet yet. So you probably know me in 30 seconds. This is my name, Adam. And yeah, that was me as a kid. I wanted to be Superman. Many of you know that already. Much cuter, I know. I don't know what happened either. So, as you may know, this is not me. I don't fly. Yeah, and clearly you don't want to see me in tights. But I still wanted to change the world. I wanted to change the world since the time I was 3. I remember wanting to make a difference, as we all do. So I became a teacher, because teachers do that every single day. There is opportunities for us through our actions and our inactions. We impact the students in our classes around the world, and I really thank you. That is what it means to be a superhero. I taught here at the Churchill School. I was an English teacher. I also was an adjunct professor teaching graduate students about special education technology. I worked here as a district technology training specialist, and I also was a tech director for 18 schools, as was mentioned. I created the website Educator in 2007 and recently created Educlipper. I share. I love to share. I love to share ideas. I love to share resources. I love to share with people. I share with my friends here. I share openly here. And on a personal note, I'm married, and I have 2 unbelievably amazing kids. Wow. They deserve it. So before we officially start, I do need to tell you that I just want to say this is an honor. I know how big a thrill this is. In fact, when they called and asked me if I do this, I almost dropped the phone and said, what? What do you mean? When? You want me to say something like hello at the keynote? I don't understand. So thank you so very much to ISTE for taking care of the biggest thing on my bucket list. Yeah, thank you. So you probably, you don't even need to know how excited I was, because you can probably tell from this picture, right? I looked at the keynotes and I see, Jane and Stephen and myself. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I the only one smiling, right? So, I think I need a new headshot. Maybe we'll do something like this. Okay. Gotta say, epic win having Jane McGonigal here. I think having students learning and really accessing what matters to them, gamification, and really getting involved in what they're learning is fantastic. But we have a few housekeeping skills, a few housekeeping tasks to go through real quickly. I've had some requests. So here's the deal. I announced I was going to do this keynote. I was really excited. And within about 20 minutes, 3 separate individuals who will not be named told me I should do it without my pants. I don't know if they've seen me before, but that's, I helped you all out. Someone also told me they want me to rock it so hard I could do a mic drop at the end. And there's 2 issues with that. There's no guarantee it will be good. And more importantly, have you ever seen anyone drop a lapel? Anyway, for Steve Anderson, he wanted to see some bacon, so he took care of all the Star Wars nerds and the bacon at one point. Steve, hope that's good for you. And speaking of Steve's, my partner in crime, my friend, my co-author, Steve Dembo. Give it up. Yeah. He sent me this lovely message. I'm going to be home after midnight after this. He just saw Mr. Stupid presentation. But he also had a request. He wanted me to show you this meme from the 90s. So all your base belong to us. Hope it's worth it, buddy. David Jakes, he's been talking about this on Twitter for a long time. He said, breaking news. His keynote has 4,178 slides. He's off by just a few. The other day, you've all been placing bets, I saw, at ISTE Bet, the hashtag. Hate to break it to you guys, there's no more slides. So, anyway, let's get started. And, yeah, don't worry, we have like 500 to go. So, I want to say this in all seriousness. I really do believe that I stand on the shoulders of giants. We all do. And I'm not talking about, we can go back in time and look at Piaget, we can look at Papert, we can look at all these people that precede us in what we find passion in and what we love. But I have to say, there are people that personally have taken my hand and embraced me into this community, and there's way too many to name. But I'll name 2. One is the co-author I mentioned before, Steve Dembo, who's just the nicest guy in the world. And one is Kathy Schrock, who was Educator 10 years before Educator existed. So, and honestly, I would stand here and thank you all, but they probably would kill me. So, and there are flights to catch, right? So anyway, I have to say 2 more quick thank yous to my first 2 teachers ever. And that was my mom. My mom, who was a high school librarian for 26 years. You guys know librarians, right? Yeah! Librarians! That's awesome. The original Google, you know, right? And my dad, who was a science teacher for 32 years, teaching AP Sciences. And my dad told me once, he said, I became a science teacher because I was curious about everything. So I'm curious about one thing. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you remember when all of this was just 4 days in June? Just 4 days in June. That's what the ISTE conference was. Well, NEC, right? Okay. ISTE is social glue. It binds all of us together from all over the world. We are here. And we've met before. As Lisa Nielsen likes to say, she says, well, our bodies get to meet our brains, right? We've all met before. We've read each other's blogs and tweets and Facebook posts. We have connected. And yet we still travel thousands of miles, sometimes around the entire world, to come here together to be face-to-face and learn and share and grow as educators. Now, many of you have seen me wearing these. And in fact, many of you have tried them on. But a lot of you, this is Google Glass. Yes, very exciting. Google had this brilliant idea that they said they're going to make these glasses you can wear with computers in your head. I'm recording this, by the way, and we'll release this video later to you. This is great. And the way I got this, someone like, oh my God, how did you get the Google Glasses? They had a contest. It says, if I had glass. Tweet out, if I had glass, what would you do? Well, I didn't know, so I put this entry out there on Twitter. And it said, if I had glass, I would look a little more normal walking on the streets of New York City. And I won the right to give them $1,650. Who's the cool one now, right? Yeah, anyway. But I've been able to share with you something that's new. I've shared with so many people here the germs on my face. No, I'm just kidding. You have all seen and tried and experienced something new, which is what we love to do in our classrooms with our personal learning networks all the time. This is what it looks like when you share something awesome with kids. Not to call you kids. But anyway, here's a look what it looked like, the conference, through my eyes this week. That was a look. That's all my glasses, so that's kind of cool to think about that. We have become a 24/7 global network. We've been that way for a while, but it's never been more evident to me than the past few days, as I'm sure it's evident to you. I got to say, it really rocked, guys. This was an awesome conference. I enjoyed meeting and talking with people, most importantly talking with many of you and the wonderful students that were here talking about their work and the projects you've done around the year with those kids. It was really great. But I'm, what's the new term? I was going to say tired. Exhausted, or yeah, I am like wiped out, right? And it's because we are sponges, right? We're completely sponges, and we're being saturated every day by all of this stuff. ISTE, ed camps, TED Talks, the stuff we read, the practical advice in Edutopia, the wonderful things in EdReach and Hack Education and EdSearch. We are seeing and feeling, and all the tweets, please, I didn't need to mention the tweets. So our heads are literally saturated with all this, but it's awesome because nerd is the new cool, right? Woo! But I gotta say, it wasn't always like this, right? So I remember, this is me. Yeah. And if you thought Google Glass was dorky, there you go. So in 1986, I remember being a young kid. I would go to libraries with my mom, and I would take out a book that looked like this. There were 3 volumes. One was red, one was orange, yellow, whatever. And I would copy literally hundreds of lines of text that looked like this onto my dad's Commodore 64. And I would sit there for literally, nerd, remember, 3-4 days and play a game that looked like this. So programming, ironically, is not very new, right? Anyway, we've come a very long way in the past 30, 40, 50 years. Technology used to not fit in the room. We used to pay the low Sumley price for $6,000 for a 10 megabyte computer system. Thinking ahead for the 80s. Yeah. And we've all worked and been students, perhaps some of us, in labs where we played titles like this. Yeah. Who hasn't seen You Have Died of Dysentery? But I think it's funny because, woo! Wow. But what I want to say about this is that this was very contrived. Ed tech was so different back then. The print shop gave you choices to be creative in the following way. Happy birthday, blank. You could put a birthday hat or you could put a cake. You had 10 choices. That was about it, right? This was educational technology, right? Enjoy that sound. But we have led the way, and we continue to lead the way. You, in this audience, the ISTE community, and those we connect with on our personal learning networks, we have shown the entire education community that education, technology, is not the icing on the cake. It is kneaded into the dough and woven into the fabric of everything that we do in our classrooms because it matters and it enhances the learning experience. Downstairs or across the hall, that is all but Home Depot, wood and nails for us to come along and create. We are the craftspeople, the chefs, the artisans that make that matter. And we have to do stuff that matters. Minecraft, right? Fans? Okay, Minecraft is awesome. When I would give an English assignment and say, write a 3-page paper on the Globe Theater, people would go down to Wikipedia, well, whatever was around at the time, they would just copy and paste, and that's it. Instead of spending hundreds of hours researching every single detail of the Globe Theater and then uploading as an English assignment onto YouTube so the entire world can take a look at it. The world really has changed. Raspberry Pi, a $45 computer that kids could program to do robots. It's not robot in a box. It's I can make a robot with this, and I could make it do anything I want. You have the Makey, which is an awesome device, really simple. You can make anything into a key. Many of you have seen this commercial or that they have on their website. It's like $50. It's great. Don't take it on an airplane, though, because it looks kind of suspicious. Play-Doh and Makey, not a good combination. Anyway, so just saying for fun. But this is great for all learners. This is Hunter. This is my son. He's not even 5, and we were making a piano together and a game controller, of course, for Scratch. But my 2-year-old wanted to get in the act, too. This is not novel. It's the difference between teaching these kids how to cook versus how to eat. We have to teach them how to create and not just consume. It is vitally important. We have freedom when we know how much power we have by what we make. We have freedom to not make things, but make things that matter. 3D printing is great, but printing parts of bodies. We are now using science to make stuff that matters. Life is short. The older I get, the more I realize this. Life is short, and we have to make stuff that matters. But unfortunately, there's an interesting educational dichotomy, a rift, between what we celebrate here at this conference and what we know about what's happening in education. The dichotomy is this. We are celebrating the maker movement, the resurgence of making stuff and being creative in schools because we have the tools that are cheap enough and more widely accessible to do that, and yet we go towards this as a model of standardization. But I found where technology and and the maker movement, technology and assessment have met.
It's a new Scantron grading system, so it's really cool. All you do is take the Scantron and just insert it into the machine, and it gives you the grade right away. And then you're just ready to put in the next one.
Yep. But all kidding aside, honestly, I am so excited about the time that we live and teach in. We live in an unbelievably amazing time. It's evident by the looks on your faces when you try new technology, when you realize that there are things that you didn't know about the minute before that you could do cool stuff with. Technology ushers in change at an increasingly quickening pace. We know that next year, something novel will be commonplace. Remember last time you went to Blockbuster Video, right? But change can be very challenging for a system that really hasn't changed much in hundreds of years. And for those keeping track at home, yes, this is a picture of an old school, so I have done my keynote duty of putting that in. Let's talk about the F word. Why don't things change? The F word, right? What's the F word? Not the, come on, be careful. Fear. Fear inhibits our change. And it's fear of things that we can't control. Social media is the scapegoat for many things, so we're going to talk about that very quickly. Here it is. I feel like David when I hear this. Is this real life? How could schools block Facebook but then create a Facebook page for the school? You see the value in something and yet we take it away. I'll tell you a quick Facebook story. I've heard lots of them, lots and lots of Facebook stories, many times on the nightly news, right? Here's my Facebook story. It's about a student I had named Sean Riley. Sean was a student of mine. He came to me. I was teaching him in the 10th grade. And they said to me, his 9th grade teacher said, well, you got to watch out. He has a bit of an edge. Well, I'd have an edge, too, if I was just coming back from a year out of school because I had cancer. Sean was an amazing, amazing kid. And I was lucky enough to have him as one of my students. We were Facebook friends. I was friends with all my students because no one really knew what Facebook was at the school. It wasn't a big deal. And even when I left that school to take a different job, I said I would stay on and be Sean's 11th grade teacher because Sean was sick again. And I would write to him and say, Sean, I can't wait to talk to you and read the next chapters of the book that we're writing. Because I told him, you know what, you don't have to read Ethan Frome because A, it sucks. And B, sorry for those English teachers, it was my least favorite thing. Anyway, so I said, you could write your life story. That's what he wanted to do. He said, I want to write a book. I said, go for it. That'll be your grade. But he would send me, documents and I'd read them. Chapter 1, Chapter 2. This was November 29th, 2007, and a week later I got this email from the school that Sean had passed away. And as you can only imagine, when you have a close connection with anyone, especially someone who's 17 years old, this was a devastating thing to have happen. For me as a teacher, and you obviously even to a greater extent his peers, his students that didn't know how to deal with this. In the school they did, they brought in the grief counselor, they brought in the guidance counselor, but you know who became the guidance counselor? Facebook. Facebook became the guidance counselor, and to this day, his Facebook page is incredibly active with people tweeting. Mixed metaphors, it's been a long week, guys. So they were sending messages and writing things, and occasionally I'll leave a note for him as well, because it's an important way for us to share. This is what the power of social media is. And in fact, let's take a look at what social media did the last 2 years using Sean's memory.
Try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in river.
This charity, Sean Lives On, actually wound up donating over the last 2 years $40,000 to cancer research. And it was all... And it was started by the students that I had in my class who loved Sean. This is what they did. That's Facebook, because there really are two sides to every single story. Now, I've been hearing a lot of talk this conference in the last couple of years as we talk about things like Facebook, which is no longer a startup, but we talk a lot about startups. And people say, make school more like a startup, right? And so I know a little bit about this. Not much, a little bit. I just started one myself. I'm learning, like all of you. I'm learning what that really means. Caution, there's buzzwords ahead. Be careful. People say, I want startup culture in my school. And they think that they're referring to this. Sometimes we're going to get cool furniture. By the way, this is not my office. For any of you who want to come visit me, it's actually a Google office in Israel. My office is maybe the size of like a bathroom. So anyway, the reality is that it has nothing to do with furniture. Startup culture has nothing to do with furniture. Startup culture has to do with respecting failure and embracing curiosity. I've messed up. How do I fix what I've done? How do I sustain and fix and get past this? It's not about having good ideas. It's not about being brilliant. Startup culture is about having a dream and then knowing how to grow it out. And then failing and then figuring out how to make the dream work. But unfortunately, a lot of schools don't see the value in dreams. Innovation. People talk about innovation. Let's innovate. Let's innovate. But it's not the same thing as iteration, which it is so commonly mistaken with. This is not innovation. Okay? It's not innovation. Innovation happens when you intersect fear and bravery. When you know that it might not work out, but you are brave enough to do it anyway. That's what that means. And we all want to have the next Steve Jobs in our class, right? We're trying to get the next Steve Jobs. But there's a funny reality distortion with this, right? And the reality distortion is very simple. We're never going to get someone that thinks differently if we all want them to think the same. An IEP, I think, is essential for every single learner. Every learner, every student, every teacher, every administrator, we should all be measuring ourselves and our growth based on what we want to become and what we need to become. It is not about having every single kid fill in C for number 4. It's about being able to say, this is my goal as a learner, and this is how I'm going to get there. And then assessing, did I get there? How did I do it? If not, how do I do it better next time? That's really important for all of us. It's about individualization and not standardization. And Google has a wonderful concept many of you are familiar with, 20% time, where a Googler, as they're so called, I love that name, a Googler can spend 20% of their time and are encouraged to spend 20% of their time doing something that is a passion project to them outside of their quote-unquote day job. 20% seems really low to be actively passionate and engaged in what you do in school. Passion is the secret ingredient for all learners. I hate to think of a school with students sitting around thinking to themselves, only 11 more years. The GAC factor is something I call give a crap factor. If you care about something, if you are allowed to care about something, you will do better at it. We are raising kids that have access to everything at their fingertips, literally at their fingertips. They eat this technology up because it empowers them, right? And they really, as I said, they eat it up, and sometimes they eat it up literally, right? I mean, it's very true, guys. Not one of mine, still cute, okay. Technology has become so important because it is the great equalizer. But sometimes we turn it down a notch when we get into schools because we're told we can't or we're told we don't have time to, even though we know in our hearts that that's what we need to do. Because we are not thinking about value in the right way. Value is not anything to do with money. It's not anything to do with an A+. It has to do with unlocking our desires to be learners, to be independent thinkers, to be able to create and not consume. Value, as I said, is not a grade. Because honestly, we can't have those expectations for all of our kids to be the same. People say, well, I have low bar expectations, therefore they'll rise to the low bar. Or I'm going to set high bar expectations. I'd like to see us all remove those expectations. Remove the bar. Let the kids, because honestly, as an English teacher, when I would assign something, every single kid, how long does it have to be? Yeah. Let them build something that matters. Take away the limits and let them do that Minecraft project. Let them do something that makes a difference for them, that lets them learn something. Because no kid's running off the bus shaking a Scantron saying, look what I did, look what I did. And you know, when you go back to school night, you don't see things like this hanging up to impress the parents. You see product. You see the source and the creations of what you have learned and created and crafted because the students have done work that matters. And this is what's displayed everywhere. It is not something that should be, work that is good should not end up in your parents' garage or in the trash. Well, it's a technology conference, so I really have to kind of give you a visual that is more suitable. So, shouldn't end up in the trash. So, good work, we know, is not garbage. We need to tell our students that what they do, what they have interest and passion to create is not meaningless. And it's okay to give instructions, but give less of them. Give them more freedom. Don't standardize creativity. Because it is not something that we need to control. It is something we need to unleash. Learning, as we all know, can be messy. Sometimes it can be literally messy, right? But I think that we have to know that we can build anyway. And it's something that not only we know, but we need to tell our kids it's okay. So how do we get there, right? How do we get to this point where we really can accept these things as value? Well, we need to accept the fact that there are challenges ahead. Let's acknowledge them really quick. School is not a prison. Some of our students, and some of us perhaps, think of it as being a way that we can't get out of the box, literally. It is also not a factory. We are not moving these kids as sometimes they feel as they're being moved from grade to grade. It is vitally important that we embrace what we already know is true, and that we know that education is not a business. And if it were a business, all the rights are reserved for the learners and for the teachers. And that is really important because we can't be letting other people, and I'm glad it was said on the stage a moment ago, be making decisions in boardrooms that really impact classrooms. Okay, and this one, come on guys, it's 2013. This is, by the way, a collection. When I go and speak at schools, I like to find the no cell phone sign. So if anyone would like to borrow this, I'll give you a collection. I have a nice long file of them. Embrace the tools they have. We all know this. We've been talking about this for weeks. But how do we get people to get on board with us? Acknowledge that these are challenges, and then see them as opportunities. That's what a startup would do. It's a challenge, but we're going to overcome it. And here's how. Because we can continue to build the future that we need and that we want. Nothing is impossible. There's an army here. There are more people in this room than are in any of your schools put together. And the people that are in your social networks and your personal networks will be your allies. Nothing's impossible. Know where to ask for help. Go to that personal learning network. And hopefully, over the last few days, you've been able to meet, greet, and grow those networks of people that not only agree with you, but challenge you as well. Because I think personal learning networks are great that way. You can accomplish anything. If you don't know how to get BYOD working in your school, tweet it out. Ask for help. There are so many teachers that have posted meaningful resources explaining how they did it wrong, how they failed, and how they overcame. It's really important. Tom Whitby, one of the founders of EdChat, yes, he looks very distinct. Yes, woo! So Tom, I trust him because he has that big bushy mustache. He just seems like he knows what he's talking about. And he also speaks very, this is true. Okay, so 200,000 people are on Twitter. That's what he says, active educators. So that's a lot of people, guys. That's a lot of people. There's power and safety in numbers. I was challenged. When I was a teacher, I was always challenged. I didn't want to talk to the superintendent. I didn't want to talk to the principal because that was really scary for me. That was bad conversations, right? But now you can tweet almost anybody because there are people sharing ideas, and that's a great, great thing. But get out of the echo chamber. We have to leave the echo chamber because talking to yourself sometimes is a dangerous thing. We can't just talk to ourselves. We have to collaborate, and that's what this conference is all about. That's what all of you do, and that's honestly why I love this community so much, because it is collaborative. We work together. In the real world, cheating is called collaboration, right? There should be open book tests, right? Remember the open book tests? Well, the open world test should be there. The open network test. You are only as valuable as the people you are connected to. And that really is the truth for real life, so to speak. And it's not real life, it's outside life. Someone said that the other day at Hack Ed. What will we do with this potential? The we that I've been talking about, the we, the us, is not this room. You're part of it, but you're not the whole room. We is all the factors that make it up. It's administrators and teachers and students and parents, and we all need seats and voices at the table. So one of my friends, a library media specialist, Shannon Miller, she started the Technical Difficulties Club. And really, when I say she started, I'm giving her a lot of credit, but in reality, her students run the club, right? Her students are creating this amazing space where they can learn technology and share it not only amongst themselves, but with their teachers. It's great. It's great to know that we are lifelong learners. Minecraft, something I knew very little about, except for the fact that I bought a $6.99 app on the iPad before this conference. But I went to some poster sessions. I talked to some teachers. You could do the same. And I started to get it. You could also talk to Kevin Jarrett, who's been tweeting out pictures and putting a Flickr gallery of his students that use Minecraft in the lab all the time. And Todd Nelson, he wrote this amazing post where he said, I was jealous of the science fair because I'm a math teacher. So I said, why not? Let's just do a math fair. And he did this. And it's low tech, right? It's that thing, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of math involved and technology behind that thing. Maybe he's wearing Google glasses, who knows. But some Google Docs up there, some cool technology, that's fine. But what I love about this is the idea of sharing this. What Todd writes in his blog is amazing. This week has been the best week of my professional career. I have never had as much fun or been as impressed with my students as I was this week. That's powerful stuff. because it tells us that we can take that risk, that we can stretch outside the box and do something that matters to us. We have and will continue to lead the way. We are the ones that are going to do it because we can't wait for everyone else to come behind us. Do it. But it's not always easy, right? When I started teaching, my first day, I'll never forget this, I walk in and I was working as an assistant teacher. So the guy whose classroom I was working in, who's an amazing teacher, he says, yeah, just set up and, you introduce yourself and we'll start the day that way. I said, oh, okay. So I get my brand new Expo markers, put them out, and all right, welcome to the class. My name is Mr. Bellow, exciting. And about 2 minutes in, this big, sweaty kid walks in. And I'm talking big. And I said, oh, hi, how are you? I'm Mr. Bellow, please take a seat. And he goes and takes the Expo markers and he throws them into the light fixture above my head. And I look at the clock and I remember thinking to myself, it's 8:02, my first day. Welcome to teaching, right? What did I get myself into? But my teaching, I felt like a weird experiment, right? I felt like a scientist. Because some experiments worked really well. Some of the things I tried were awesome. And honestly, I got to tell you, some of the things really weren't. But my students, they made stuff. I went to film school before I became a teacher. Film school, a very viable career. My students made stuff. They made awesome stuff. My students who were had trouble reading and had other difficulties, they were told, give them a book that's suitable for their grade level. They could read it at maybe, whatever grade level it was. And we challenged them and said, you know what, let's read Don Quixote. And not only let's read it, the culminating project was let's make a movie about it. So they made this, Don Quixote in Manhattan. They acted out and they starred in and they wrote a script translating Don Quixote, which is an incredibly dense and hard to understand text from a conceptual standpoint, into a modern day high school boy that gets kind of knocked on the head and thinks he is a great knight from long ago. And the cool part about this project was that this was made 10 years ago. Before YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and anything else. But my students made something amazing. They made something awesome. We were proud of it, but we had no way to share it. Learning and doing something awesome without sharing is selfish. I'm talking to the choir here. We all share all the time. And we come here to share and learn. I'll tell you where I remember sharing for the first time. I was 7 years old. I was in I believe, the end of first grade. My parents took me to the library and I took out an activity book from Where the Wild Things Are. They had this cool activity book. And one of the pages says, complete the drawing of Max. I remember going home and I was like, this is awesome. I really want to share this with all my first grade friends. Okay, well, my parents said we can't photocopy it. It's dark, it's late, I can't go out and do it, whatever the reason was. So I remember saying, okay, I'm going to go to bed, turned off my light, waited until my parents went to sleep, got a stack of index cards, and started making my own thing to share. And they looked okay in the beginning. I definitely remember that by the 30th one, they looked not as exciting. But I remember most about this night was that I remember looking at the clock and saying, it's 11:55. Wow. My bedtime was like 7:30. So, no joke. Sharing. We can do it so easily now. It's something we almost take for granted. We share everything. Share this video. Done. There's amazing things you can do. Sharing is caring. It's goofy to say, but I was a child of the 80s, so you just have to deal with that. Care Bears, come on. So you and your students have created great work this year. And I'd like to take a minute to celebrate what Ed Reach would call some great edu-wins from this past year. Arturo Ravino did this amazing, amazing project, which if you haven't seen it, you have to watch this video. He did the 2013 version of what my students did, except he created it and shared it on a really wide level. These are kindergarten students that took the book Miss Nelson is Missing and made a 20-plus minute video that is unbelievably entertaining. I almost want to show you the whole thing. I won't, but you really should watch it. You will laugh hysterically. Ann Oro, she did a great project that connected students from different schools, and the project was really simple. Write a very detailed description. It was talking about detail and getting really finite information. Describe a monster in real detail, and then share it with another school. And then each children would draw a picture, both the one that created the description and the one who was reading it. And then they would share it. It's so simple. It's so easy. It doesn't involve anything high-tech. It could be done over Skype or Google Docs or Hangout, whatever it is. But it's the idea of sharing something and making that connection. Kindergarten class, Sarah Tipton, her kindergarten class connected with a class in Japan. And they took turns trying some of the cultural things that each of the others did. So this is one of her kindergartners eating sushi for the first time. Connecting with other classes has been done for literally decades. It used to be with those giant, big, bulky things you would wheel into your room and then you pay for a service to transmit, like those wonderful experiences. Now you could do it literally from your phone, from a computer, from your glasses. It's pretty amazing. And Bill Selleck, his kids made these awesome music videos. In fact, one of them was nominated for a Grammy. Let's listen to it for a second. I was kidding about that. I'm sorry. But this was an amazing mix of audio and video. And this was a real project that they really not only learned the parts of a cell, but found the appropriate resources, wrote lyrics to, sang them, and produced them. It's a passion project. And we have a project here. Woo! Hey there. Awesome. So Carrie Fields, who was here with her students, she posted this on GoFundMe. She wanted to bring her students. They were chosen to be part of the student showcase, but they couldn't get the funding to go. So it was a campaign, and I'm really happy that they got the funding, and they came, and they were awesome. This was some pictures the other day. They were sharing with me their digital portfolios. Their portfolios were incredible, not because they were anything that you may have not tried in your class, but because these kids own that learning so bad. They knew everything about what it was to make it was on Weebly. They knew about the Pixtons that they created and what they did, and they were really awesome to talk to and share. And it was the teacher, was obviously the leader and the facilitator, but these students own that learning, and that's so important. Here they are presenting it to a crowd. That's really cool. These are the kids you saw in the back of that video. They were awesome. We have students that were from Mexico. Here's a girl who says, Mister, would you like to know how to make an iPhone app? And I said, yes. And she very detailed, no teacher standing by, was going through how to use Apps Bar to make an app and knew every detail about that program because they own that learning, passionate about it. We had teachers sharing projects about how assessment can be more than something that we can Google. The student work has been amazing. Your students do amazing, amazing things because we all have a voice. We all have a voice because the playing field has been leveled. We have the same tools, the same platforms, the same audience, the same opportunities. Student voice is a real thing. In fact, literally, this is the website Student Voice, where students get to share what they feel and think about education and how they want to make it better. This wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. We have super awesome Sylvia taking STEM videos and putting them out online that inspire kids to get involved in science and really energized and share. And we have Nikhil Gayal, who questioned and really called onto the carpet the educational process and system. Whether you agree with him or not, he raised quite a few eyebrows. Our world has changed, and I'm not here to talk about this video. I'm here to talk about the fact that this video exists. Our students are taking their education seriously. They want as badly as we do to change this and make it better. Exploring, sharing, and contributing is what learning is all about. It is not just about learning, it is about sharing, and that's really important. If I were to tell you a 5-second story about Educator, it would begin like this: an unexpected journey, like Lord of the Rings. I was teaching at Hunter College. I was an adjunct professor. I got this class, which basically consisted of me teaching them about Microsoft Word, right? But I was so interested in all the amazing tools I was finding that I made a resource for the kids called Educator, for kids. They were the same age as me. I did it in iWeb, which was a pretty stupid move. But anyway, the intended audience was 23 of my students and me who would forget the stuff that I would find. And for some reason, I just thought instead of saving it to a list, I would just make something that I wanted to share. So it looked like this when it first launched, very iWeb-esque. And it evolved over time because I stayed up till 3, 4 in the morning, woke up at 2 in the, that would actually be a weird overlap. So and today the website still exists and looked like this because it reminds me of what it was like when I was 6 and I was sharing where the wild things are. Because that's what I do. I want to share. But that's not important because that is not special. We all do this. We're all builders. We build projects and support groups and think tanks and resource hubs and help centers and conferences and chats and friendships. Friendships that matter because we know we can rely on each other when we say, I've failed. How do we do this? How did you do it? Technology's empowered us. We have EdChat, a great story about educators that wanted to connect and share online around the world at the same time. We have EdCamp. EdCamp, teachers that didn't like the way that the professional development was being handled in their district, wasn't supportive for them and their needs, and so they decided to have a gathering of teachers where it met their needs. There were 300 EdCamps, more than 300 EdCamps, this year alone. That's amazing. You can clap for that. Hell yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. The technology didn't do it. You did. That's what's amazing about that. It's incredibly inspiring to know that we can do those things. because we dream. And when we dream, we know that they come from wonder. I wonder what would happen if. They come from curiosity. What's that? This is my son walking around. What's this? What's that? What's that? All day long. They come from curiosity. And our dreams need to be big. I want to change PD, right? That's a big dream. I want to change what it means to be assessed in school. That's a big dream. I wanted to be Superman. That's a crazy big dream, right? But I dreamed I could change that world, right? Started the Change the World charity campaign. I watched movies like Back to the Future growing up, where people told me things like, you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. Well, I believed it, because I'm pretty gullible. Change the World. It was a charity campaign I started. It was a social experiment. It was 2010. I put up a website that looked like this. It's still the same website I use today. And you click on the penny. And when you do that, I donate a penny of my money. Well, my wife's here. Of our money. Sorry, hon. Of our money to a charity that we then later crowdsource. It's a very simple idea. It's not about raising money. It's about raising the idea that small things add up. Small change matters. Floods start with one drop of water at a time. First year, we raised 28,000 pennies. It was very exciting. I actually was afraid that we'd raise 200, and I would send all these people an email. I'm donating $2 to whatever charity you want. But we've raised more and more pennies over time. People use the QR code in their classes. It's very exciting. And last year at ISTE, during one of my sessions, I gave out $1 to everyone that walked in the room. Everyone that walked in, I gave money. Going to the bank before that trip was very strange. I was like, can I have $400 in singles? They're like, where are you going? ISTE? Yeah. So, did the Change the World campaign live for the first time. And I didn't know how that was going to go. But I'll tell you that we raised over $800 that day. And some people kept the money and tweeted out, this is going to start a fund for a charity of my students' choice. And we'll keep this dollar framed until they decide what it is. Whatever we do, we must know that it matters. We must do things that matters because it matters to those kids so very much. What we do is important. Educators are important. Dreams can be easily destroyed. That goes for your students as well as yourselves. We all know what it feels like when people relegate you to saying, well, you know, you're just this or just that. Never utter the word just before what you do again. I am not just a teacher. What you do matters, you teach, and you impact future generations to come. And that is really important to know that you make this difference. If you don't think you can, you're not going to. Next year, when you go back to your school, we'll start with a clean slate. This year, it will be wiped away. We'll face new problems, but we have to know that we can not let the unknown stop us. We are here together, strong. The challenges that we face and have faced will be new, but we must look at them only as opportunities to make the change that we want. Because it's not about technology. In the end, it never has been. It's about us. It's about the connection. It's about ISTE. It's about all of us together, making positive change and celebrating the positive things that you do on a daily basis. If you do a great project, share it out. If your students do amazing work, share it out. It's important that we all do that because we are the answer. And again, the we is all of the factors of our education process. Socrates said the secret of change is to focus not on the fighting the old, but on building the new. True words from a long time ago. But we also have to know that time is our most valuable resource. Don't complain about what we can't do. Let's just do it. That's really what it's about. We hold the brush that paints our future, and we are only confined by the walls that we build ourselves. I have been made stronger as a person from sharing with all of you and knowing all of you, and you are what make me want to go on and do great things in this world. And I have to tell you that it is so hard for me to stand here and try to inspire people that fuel me to be a better person and try to make change in education. So thank you guys for being lifelong learners, sharers, teachers, for making a difference. This is important. And lifelong learning, as you all sit here, as I sat in this picture, is when you know you don't have all the answers, which is why we will come back next year and share that was awesome and talk about the new challenges we face. Take some time to reflect. It's been a crazy 4 days. If you're anything like me, your brain is about to explode, right? So when you fly back home, I want you to think about all the wonderful things you saw, the wonderful people you met, and those wonderful students that you will have the opportunity to impact next year. Because summer has come, and we all know that summer will quickly go. But it's really important I want you guys to know that because you touch the future, that is how you change the world. And it doesn't always happen the way you think it is. Because changing the world for me wasn't building a website, it wasn't talking at a conference. It was when I left Hunter College, my last day at this graduate school. I was walking out, going to get the subway, and it was like that bittersweet feeling of like, oh, I'm done with work, but I'm kind of, I'll miss this place. And this big sweaty guy comes towards me. And I'm like, oh, this guy looks familiar. I don't want him to hit me. And he grabs my hand and he says, yo, Mr. B. I said, oh, boy with the markers, of course. He says, hey, Mr. B, just got to tell you, man, you were like the best teacher I ever had. And at that moment, that's how I realized, that was my penny. That's how I felt that I made a difference. And I try to keep doing that every day. We have to stop waiting for someone to invite us to make the change and do it ourselves. Because the reality is, like you, I have super kids. Whether they be in your classes or in your homes or people that you care about. The future generations, I want them so badly to know that they should know the fact we believe in them. And that whatever they want to be is possible. They have to be told that they can change the world, because the secret of all of us changing the world is that if we believe we can change the world, we surely will. So thank you so much for inspiring me to change the world, and thank you for what you do every single day to actually do it. Thank you guys so very, very much. Thank you.
Get out the ribbon.
Get it out.
There it is. Nice job. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
You're the best. You're the best.
Nice job. Up here. So to say thank you really is not enough. We are so glad that you were here today. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. So let's roll through this stuff. Okay, Keisha, it's all yours.
Okay, Adam has graciously agreed to stick around for a bit after this session to sign books. And we're going to do that right here at the stage. If you have already purchased the book, that's wonderful. If you haven't, ISTE Central will have some books set up here for you to buy.
Okay, but first, one last round of points for you gamers out there. Your code for this session, which is worth 20 points, is 35799, 35799. And remember, please, to complete all your session surveys. Each one gives you 20 points, and genuinely, they're so important as we reflect and look forward to next year. So thank you for doing that. And we'll be announcing the winner later today via the app, so keep your push notifications on. It could be you.
So, Adam, will you stick around? I mean, you're sticking around right now.
I'm not going anywhere.
But I want to bring a few people up. First, I want to bring your wife up.
There she is.
Thank you so much for sharing him with us. He's awesome. You can get over there. And as you can tell, we're like really into ribbons around here. So I have found, as I was, meandering the halls, two ribbon. Come here, ribbon ladies. Ribbon ladies. Come. Ribbon ladies.
Whoa.
Look at this.
Look at these ribbons.
Look at ribbon ladies. Look at this. Can y'all see in the back?
We're going to unfurl?
Yes, I'll hold your sign.
Ribbon lady. This is Sue Bell from Calgary, Canada. Woo! And this is Jill Davis from Hawaii?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to bring you a ribbon?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have the conference there?
All right.
See if we can pull that off.
We're going to all invite you to 1, 2, ready, go. Hotlanta. ISTE 14 in Atlanta.
Thank you so much for making ISTE 13 come alive. We're so grateful that you were here. Thank you. Have a safe trip home, and we'll see you next year in Atlanta.
Hotlanta.